Police and protesters have clashed in Los Angeles after a day of relative calm. First Edition host Peter Stevanovic was there at the LAPD attempted to force crowds from the city streets.
Well, the police have given protesters fair warning that they would move on them by launching tear gas. They've launched flash bombs and flash grenades as well to try and disperse the crowds. They believe now that the protesters have had enough and they want to clear the streets of downtown LA, and we are still several hours away from the curfew beginning.
Yes, an hour from now, parts of downtown will be under that curfew, and Pete joins us now. Good evening to you, Pete. So what's happening at the moment?
Hi, Janie. Yeah, it's high tension here on the streets of downtown LA, as over the past few hours now, police have continued to force protesters back since that last moment where you saw me on the streets a little further away from here. So what police have been doing is going block by block and moving these protesters back, and they're kettling them away. So what you can see, these lines of members of the LAPD, and on the other side of them are protesters, and there's still a pretty large amount of protesters left who are remaining quite defiant this evening local time. There's probably, if I'm going to guess here, about 1,000 protesters who are remaining. But complicating efforts for police on this particular intersection is the fact that traffic's going through the street. Also down the other end where the protesters are. So police are trying to negotiate at the moment. You can hear the exchange of projectiles. Tear gas has been used. Rubber bullets have been fired. We've actually seen a number of protesters go down as well, with hits to the body, hits to the legs, and it's cut them pretty badly, and they've had to move on pretty quickly. But there's still another hour to go before curfew kicks in, so there's a bit of work for police to do here. But again, back to these protesters who they've been calling peaceful protests, but then they get in the police officer's face and hurl all kinds of obscenities at them. So it's almost like they're asking for trouble. Not so peaceful on that front, but this standoff right now, you can see the choppers. There's a number of drones in the air as well, keeping watch of things. I don't know who the drones belong to. Could be either party. But that's happening right now on the streets of downtown LA as this confrontation continues. And what's not helping the protesters is the fact that on the other side, and I think they've gone beyond protesting now, to be honest, they're throwing projectiles at police, so they're throwing whatever they can find. Mostly it's bottles that are filled with water, but they've been launching fireworks as well, which is only agitating the scene further. But that's the sort of exchange that's taking place at the moment.
All right, Pete, thank you very much for that update. Have you had a chance to chat to anyone in and around the place during the day?
Well, yeah, we've spoken to a bunch of protesters earlier in the day. I mean, it was pretty peaceful for the most part, almost festive, as tens of thousands of people were here protesting or taking part in the so-called No Kings Day. They're protesting against the government, against the Trump administration and its its immigration policies. They claim it to be heavy-handed immigration policies, but it's also been in support of the Mexican migrants and the migrant community, in fact, because they play such a large role in the shape of California and have done for a long, long time. But it was peaceful. It was, as I said, quite festive for about 6 hours until police had had enough. And we're getting to the point where we are now. But we've got a sample of some of the people who I was talking to earlier, so we can run that.
I believe that ICE is exerting too much force, too much power. They're coming after our community. They're coming after people that are vulnerable.
Our freedom's being taken away by a government that is not paying attention to our human rights or our constitutional rights.
He's a horrible human being. We don't want him here. We don't want him as our president.
We don't want any fascism in here. This country was founded by immigrants.
He's the most un-American leader we've ever had. I still believe that this is the People's Republic, and I'm trying to stay positive.
Without undocumented workers, there's no jobs, there's no business.
So things have changed since then, certainly. So it's definitely much more tense and much more violent now, or has been over the past hour or so. And again, just a final point that there's still less than an hour to go now, Janie, until another night of curfew kicks in.
All right, doing a great job as always, Pete Stefanovic live in Los Angeles. Thank you so much.